So tobacco smuggling is actually a big problem. I heard of recently there were containers, I mean many huge 40-foot containers of legitimately produced cigarettes were taken by a militant group in the Sahel just a couple of weeks ago. And so there's a little concern of, wait, has that all become weapons now? Because they literally trade them for weapons. And then tobacco in particular is used almost as a currency. Tobacco and drugs, more than anything else. And so these are just examples of a particular Belarusian gang that smuggling from Belarus into Western Europe. And there's huge overproduction in Belarus. So what I have been looking into is not just the downstream gray economy, but the upstream. When you have this quantity of illicit production, somebody's feeding it. Somebody's providing the raw materials to it. And in the case of tobacco, these are often they're counterfeit, so they're not made by their big tobacco companies or something else called illicit whites. But they're still getting the filters and they're getting the cigarette paper. And there are only a few companies in the world that make them. And they're huge. All right? So that's been my latest pet project, is looking into that. Here it is. For instance, the guys who make the filters, right? It's something called cellulose acetate tow. It's highly concentrated, and I've been tracking how it moves. That Eastman and Celanese, for instance, are basically overselling 10% of their sales. At least 10% of their sales are obviously going to criminal networks, and they know it. They have to know it. Because Eastman is selling just to Belarus. You can track trade data. It takes a bit of effort, but you can find the data. Has been selling 10 times or 9.17 times the legal quota in Belarus, and they're all really nasty gangs. And then a lot of these cigarettes then head west either go into Russia and feed that honest non-criminal organizations there, right? And then, or they head west into the UK and Ireland, where the price for cigarettes is the highest. So you go from where it's low to where it's high. And there's been a lot of seizures in the hands of the real IRA that's rearming, and that's going on now in the last few months, through tobacco. And what upsets me is that these are American companies feeding these groups. So if you want to dismantle illicit trafficking, don't just look downstream, also look at the culprits upstream. Because as I was talking about before, it's all about looking at the networks and identifying the strategic nodes. Stopping an occasional container of drugs or pharmaceuticals or tobacco or counterfeit bags ain't going to do the trick. You have to dismantle the networks, and to do that you have to find their vulnerabilities. And those are the nodes like the suppliers and the shippers and all of that.